I always liked Alicia Keys' New York, that Jay-Z song, because honestly, once I came here, it's like, honestly, I knew when I moved to New York, I was like, I'm gonna do something, right, creative. But I literally got pregnant. Like 3 months after moving here, my husband and I had were pregnant with our first. So I kind of had to put a lot of things on hold. But I knew New York had that, it's the energy here, right? So every time I hear that song, I'm like, absolutely, that is, you know, my shit. Hi, my name is Stacey Billups, and you're watching Emerging NYC. I was born in the Bronx, actually, and I spent the first part of my childhood in New York till I was about 13. Then I moved away to Connecticut, then went further down. I went down south for college to DC. I went to Howard, and then one day I just had the itch to return to New York. I had some sisters who lived in Brooklyn, so that felt pretty natural for me to just return to New York, and eventually I made my way from Harlem to Brooklyn. I fell into becoming an artist later in life. I was exposed to a lot of art, and I knew I was creative, but I did not feel that it was the thing that was meant for me when I was younger. It just was something that I kind of took for granted a little bit, like, oh, I'm naturally like artistic, but I didn't really think of it as a career. And one of the beautiful things about art is that it's never too late to tap into it. As I explored different ways to be creative, there was a point where I just decided, you know what, I've never painted, and I picked up a paintbrush, and that's like maybe like 6 years ago, and that's where this whole journey began for me. One of the most impactful shows that I've ever experienced has been the Carrie James Marshall show. That was when I think I was just getting back into creating art, and I just started to paint, and I went to that show, and I was just like blown away and inspired. I'll look to different artists, and that will inspire me to kind of explore a style that I haven't explored. So that's the artists that inspire me is constantly changing, I guess. This is Beatrice Dumond, and she is a professional skateboarder. And I just kind of found her when I was doing some research for this series. I found her image and some information and YouTube videos and things of her online, and I just fell in love with her because she's like one of the only Black women that is a professional skateboarder, and she's got a contract and she's making money off of it, and she's just living her dreams. And she's also super cute. Like, if you ever get a chance to watch anything about her, you're just gonna fall in love with her personality because she's really cool. She's like a skateboard girl, a skater girl. I would say the first thing that started me with painting was that I had a friend who is an amazing artist himself, and he pushed me a lot. Like, you know, I was drawing a lot at the time and learning a lot about how to make my drawings much more like deeper level, right? A higher level drawing. And so he would give me a lot of feedback, and one of the first things he said to me was like, you gotta try to paint. And you know, I think it's weird how we have like a lot of fear around art. Like art, you think if you don't know how to paint and you know, you haven't been trained, then you shouldn't do it for some reason. And I always held back. And I think as soon as I decided, oh, I'm gonna give it a try, started with this one painting, which was a girl with flowers on her hair, and it was, you know, successful for a first portrait. And then I just kind of went from there, and I just kept building on, learning new things every single time. Some things I learned from my friend who was a mentor. Some things I watched YouTube videos, and God, everything's online now. Like, you can go to school, but you can also train yourself to do a lot of things in this time. And I think that was also, the timing for me felt right because I had like the openness to it, and then the resources are there. into my first studio through a friend. She had like an extra, basically, corner in her studio, and she offered it to me. And I was able to focus. I think that's the thing, is like when you have a space, you can set up shop and really give yourself like a schedule. I think paying for a studio makes it less of a hobby and more of like a practice. So I would go to the studio, get in my little corner and you know, created quite a bit of work in a very small space. You outgrow a small space pretty quickly. And then I was able to kind of move into this space, and it's ideal in terms of where I'm at as an artist. You know, there may be a day where I outgrow this space, but I just think it's perfect for where I'm at. And like I said, having this studio gives me more of a practice and keeps me sort of the same way I show up for work for someone else, I make myself show up for work for my art practice. And I think that the results have been that I've been able to create a nice body of work through that. I really had to learn that I was worth the investment. Like, to invest in yourself is something I think that we're not taught as much when we're younger, especially I'm a little older than you guys. Like my generation, we weren't taught to just like believe in yourself and invest in yourself. And if you have a passion, how you can grow your passion. And it keeps me like feeling, you know, like I'm up to date with what the hell is going on in the world. You know what I mean? And also it just built my confidence around a lot of things that I always would say, like, oh, you know, I'm creative, but I'm not good at business. Well, you have to be good at both to be an artist. Like, you have to know how to manage your business part, your money, and you're asking people to invest in you when they buy for a painting, and you have to kind of understand what you have to level up, basically. Some of the things I've tried to do creatively in my past, lives, I feel like the reason why I never really got off the ground is because I just wasn't willing to do the kind of networking that you need to do to be like a stylist or, makeup or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like being out there like that. And so this is like a nice balance. Like, you do have to go in to yourself and be in the studio or wherever you create, but it will just be about you doing that if you don't get out. So a lot of times I've pushed myself to go to like an opening that I might not have wanted to go to, but then once you're there and you're with this creative energy, it's like pretty amazing. Just half of it is just getting myself out the door, to be honest with you. Once I'm there, I'm like, oh, okay. And I've met some incredible people. And I think that, as long as you keep doing that, at least, a couple times a year, you got to get yourself out of the studio and make connections. I think it does work. It helps a lot, as well as it inspires you, because once you're exchanging ideas, I know, like back in Harlem Renaissance, for example, or things like that, there were people who would just gather, and they would just gather and talk and just share ideas, and so much beautiful artwork came from that. So you can never just say to yourself, like, I don't need anyone, I'll just be in this little corner and be by myself. You do need other people. It's just finding the balance with it, I think. Yeah, so I don't normally paint men, but I have been known to, and it's a nice challenge sometimes. But I was really inspired by D Nice because he really did help us get through the quarantine. Like, we joke about it, but like, we were in so much pain and confusion. And I think the one thing that kept me grounded was listening to D Nice sessions, and I would go in my backyard and I would just be like dancing, and I didn't even care who was seeing me. And I was just like, so I had just felt inspired enough to just do a little portrait of him on a bag, because I do these tote bags here and there. So do a little something every day. Do something towards the thing that you think you're interested in every chance you get. And even if it's just like 10 minutes a day, you put a little bit into your practice, because that's kind of how I kind of feel like I built up. It's like I would keep the sketchbook by my bed and I would just try to do like a little quick sketch until that momentum builds up, right? And then you feel like you feel more confident to try other things. And just really don't be afraid to explore the things that you find that you're curious about and you're interested about within yourself. Don't wait for someone to give you the green light to do it, just do it, right? And then finally, I would say invest in yourself. Like, spend the money on the better camera, spend the money on the paintbrushes that are better. Like, you are your best investment. You gotta show up for yourself in a way that no one else, you can't expect other people to invest in you if you don't invest in yourself. The journey for me at first was a little challenging because I started so late. I just always felt like, oh, I need to be in school. I need to know this from that. And I just, once I got out of my own head with that, the work got better. And then I tap into things that I like to do or I'm interested in anyway when it comes to creating a piece. So like now I'm on this, Black Girls on the Move series, which is more about like sportsmanship and movement and things like that. Because I love makeup, I've done like a lip series that's still evolving, so I've always kind of explored like a lot of different ways that we show up. Well, the song that sticks out right now for me is like, I listen to a lot of music when I paint, but let's see, because I'm not good at song titles, but I think the song that I've been kind of really resonated with is crazy, is that Kanye, He's Done Miracles on Me song. Like, every time I'm in here, I'm not even a religious person, but sometimes I just feel like, damn, I'm blessed. You know what I mean? Because it's just amazing to me to be able to have this, it is a gift, and be able to share it. It does feel like a blessing. So every time I hear that song, I'm like working out, I'm like, or painting, I'm like, yeah, that really feels like how I feel right now. Alicia Keys, New York, that Jay-Z song, because honestly, once I came here, it's like, honestly, I knew when I moved to New York, I was like, I'm gonna do something, right, creative. But I literally got pregnant. Like 3 months after moving here, my husband and I had were pregnant with our first. So I kind of had to put a lot of things on hold, but I knew New York had that, it's the energy here, right? So every time I hear that song, I'm like, absolutely, that is, my shit. But, and then I can see clearly now the rain is gone, because it's like, I can see all obstacles in my way, because I have a quote that is like, anything is possible. That's my quote. And because I believe it, I live it, right? Like, anything is possible once you put yourself in that state of mind. I feel like you manifest your dreams if you just believe in yourself. It sounds super corny and cliche, but it is really actually how I feel, because like I said, I just never, when I was younger, gave myself that permission. And then as soon as I did, it all kind of came together for me. And beautiful things have happened as a result.